Um, I'm still ticked off at YouTube for banning one of my videos. I mean, I love the fact that I have access to do YouTube videos. They don't charge me for it or anything, so this is their platform. So I can understand them um, having control over some of the things that go on the platform, especially if they don't want to get sued by anybody. So I get that. I totally get that. But their their banning of my video was just wrong. It was incorrect. It was based on inaccuracy. Whoever reviewed it, first the bot and then whatever person that they used that did it, they screwed up. They definitely screwed up. And I'm going to go into that a little bit in this video here about how they screwed up, why they screwed up, how I can prove it screwed up, and then what happened to me. What happened to make all this necessary and put me in a wheelchair and ruin my life. It's been half a decade now, over half a decade now, that this happened to me. So I first want to read what their language was when they banned my video. They banned it because I said that I was paralyzed by a vaccine. So what they said, they banned it saying that I'm not allowed to do that. And here's what it says. It says that medical misinformation policy. It had content that poses a serious risk of egregious harm by spreading medical misinformation about currently administered vaccines that are approved and confirmed to be safe and effective by local health authorities and the World Health Organization is not allowed on YouTube. Okay, fine. Fine. I was not putting medical misinformation on there. My medical information is accurate and it's correct. This happened to me, and I filed a vaccine adverse effect with the United States Department of Health Services. Their website, GSK, which is the maker of the vaccine that did this to me. Their website, every time you see a commercial, for the Shingrix vaccine, you'll see it. It'll say, that Guillain-Barre syndrome, quote unquote, severe muscle weakness is a possible result of the vaccine. Well, here's the thing. What I have, my syndrome, is called transverse myelitis. And transverse myelitis is very, very similar to Guillain-Barre. They're a little bit different, but they're very similar. So I want to read something out of the National Library of Medicine's website. It says Guillain-Barre syndrome, GBS, and transverse myelitis, TM, both represent there's going to be some medical words I have trouble saying, immunologically mediated polyneuropathies of major clinical importance. It's hard to do that. Both are thought to have a genetic predisposition, but as yet no specific genetic risk loci have been clearly defined. Both are considered autoimmune, but again, the etiologies remain enigmatic. Both may be induced via molecular mimicry, particularly from infectious agents and vaccines. Vaccine. Transverse myelitis. Vaccines. So my having been injured by a vaccine is accurate, and it's right in the National Library of Medicine. And I sent in a report to the United States Department of Health and Human Services there. My disorder was caused by a vaccine, YouTube. Please look this stuff up before you ban me. Because when I say that I've been paralyzed by a vaccine, it's based on science. And it's based on what my doctors ruled on it. And GSK's attorneys agree that what happened is as a result of the vaccine. So stop banning my videos. Anyway, I want to talk about my story a little bit so you can see how related it is. In October 21, 2019, I was 60 years old. And at the time, I was a still competitive swimmer. I swam for United States Masters swim, and I could still do 100 yards in under a minute. I would do 2 mile swims, you know, and so I was a good athlete. I was in very good shape, and I went in for a regular doctor's visit, just to get a physical, just to make sure everything was okay. I've never had any kind of problems. I was never on any medication. I've never had any illnesses. I was operated on only twice. I had tonsillitis when I was a kid, and something to not have, I had a vasectomy, so I wouldn't, we'd stop at my two wonderful daughters, and we had all we needed at that point, because they were awesome people. Uh, so I was always physically extremely good shape, and my blood pressure was never a problem. Um, I worked out constantly. The swimming was, every other day I was doing 2 mile swims. I was in very very good shape. So I don't even know why I even went into a physical. I didn't really. Somebody told me that uh, prostate, would be something that you'd have to have checked. And a friend of mine did, in fact, die of prostate cancer. So that was really the only reason I went in. Otherwise, I didn't need a doctor. I didn't need one, but I was dumb and I went in and I had a doctor's appointment. So I went in, I had the health exam, and of course I was great shape, everything was fantastic. And then my doctor said, "Do you want a flu shot?" I go, "No," because I never get the flu. And she said, "Do you want the shingles vaccine? GSK, or, GSK's Shingrix." And my brother-in-law had a bad case of shingles one time. My daughter had kind of a minor case, but still not not good. I mean, it's very uncomfortable. And I said yes, and I had the shot. And I didn't have. I don't remember my arm hurting after that, but my wife says that I complained about it. But I complained all the time about stuff, so yeah, I probably did. So anyway, I had that, and for the days afterwards, I immediately started having problems in my neck, mostly. I had pain that would go in my neck if I lifted my arms in a certain way. I'd have a lot of pain, and whenever that happened, the only way I could relieve the pain was to go lay on my back. So I might be in my office and then have that happen. I go close my door and I go lay on the floor until the pain went away, and it went that way for about a week, and I then went in. And I stopped swimming for a while because I figured, maybe my swimming, is creating the pain. So I stopped swimming for about 8 days. And then on October 28th, actually, I know the date I went back in because I kept track of all my laps and everything. October 28th, I went back in and I swam 2,000 yards. So it wasn't my normal 4,000 yards, but it's a little bit over a mile. And that was the last time that I would ever swim that I know of, unless I could do it in the future on it. But that was the last time. Uh, but I continued having the problems with my neck. And it just kept getting worse and worse. And then finally on October 30th, uh, there's a customer of ours that had a very large check to pay us. I'm in the construction industry, and it's always better to pick up that check rather than have it be in the mail for 10 days. So I went to go pick up the check, and on the way, on the drive, uh, pain, massive pain, all the way. I could barely think, so bad. But, I found the customer. I remember in the waiting room waiting for them to bring me the check. I was so uncomfortable. And, fortunately, I didn't have to talk to anybody. I was having trouble just even doing anything. But so, I went to the bank and I was in such pain that I couldn't even sign the check and make I couldn't make a check deposit receipt. So I went ahead, just sent that over into the bank on the, I was in their drive-through. So I just sent that in there, and they were able to do the deposit for me. And then when I was driving back to my office, I was going south on Route 55, and all of a sudden my right arm died. It just went completely limp. I couldn't move my fingers. I couldn't move my thumb. I couldn't move anything. And I was in a major traffic jam, leaving Chicago, and it was so I'm in this major pain. My arm's not working, And I'm thinking to myself, and the traffic was maybe going 30 miles an hour on the highway, and I knew I needed to go to a hospital at that point, because I was just crippled with pain. And so I even thought of just driving on the side of the road and just passing everybody, and then maybe a cop would pull me over. But I didn't want to do that because I was I wanted to go to a hospital where I would be near where my wife Sandy could come, see me, because you don't know how long you're gonna be in the hospital, and you don't want to be too far away. My wife doesn't drive through town, drive very far away from home very often. So I put up with the pain until we hit another highway exchange that would go south. And at that point, I was able to start going 70 miles an hour or so. And I made it to Silver Cross Hospital in New Lenox, which is, and they, it's funny when I got there, this, the, there were tons of people in the waiting room. But I was in such severe distress. I mean, I didn't ask for it, but they pushed me right past everybody. They thought I was having, um, a heart attack, or or something else with it. So anyway, so they pushed me through, and they got me treated very quickly, and then they admitted me right away because I was in such bad shape. And a neurologist came in to talk to me, and I mean, they were talking about stroke. They thought it might be a stroke, but it wasn't that. And I was in the hospital for a few days, and my arm started coming back. I started getting used to it again, and then they put me on steroids, and they sent me home. So here I'm driving home, and on the way home from the hospital, I had another huge attack, and I remember I pulled over into the parking lot of a elementary school, and I just curled up in a ball, on the seat of the car, and just waited for the pain to go away. It was so horrible, pain, worst pain in my life, and I was thinking at that point I should go back to the hospital, and stupid me, you know, no, I went home. So I go home. And I was putting up with this for a while. It all of a sudden started becoming difficult to walk. Um, I was taking the steroids, and I had probably the worst pimples I've had since being a high school person. But I didn't get the muscles, from the steroids. What's the deal with there? I should have gotten muscles too. But it was uh, just very, very bad time for me. So it just kept going that way from the through the earlier parts of November and mid parts of November, and then toward the latter part of November, around Thanksgiving, uh, I started. I'm still having trouble walking, and and I had a walker I was able to use, and then on November 26th, uh, my bladder stopped working, and I you know, once your bladder fills up, you get pain if you're not going to the bathroom. And I was unable to go. And I would go and I would sit on the toilet and just try to push it out. And I would just sit there, until a little bit would come out. And then my neck was still hurting. So I would go back to the bed, and I would lay there to get over the pain. And then I would go back to the bathroom again. Then I would go back to the bed again, and then walking got harder to do. And then finally, I walked to the bed at one point, and my legs stopped working. And then my left arm died. So my left arm died, and my legs died. My right arm, for some reason, was working a little bit. So I, I called my wife on the cell because I was staying in a bedroom next to the bathroom on purpose so I could get to it. So I called her, and she came in, and she says, "Oh, freaking the ambulance here." So I was taken by the ambulance back to the doctor again, back to the hospital. And you know, while in the hospital, they were giving me all these tests, and uh, then my neurologist came in to me, and he's trying to figure out what's wrong with me. They did all the scans, did all the other things they had to do medically to try to figure out what's going on. So they were able to determine that, that the myelin sheath around my nerves, was being effectively destroyed. And he just came up to me and he said, have you had a vaccine recently? And I go, yeah, I had a shingles vaccine in October. He goes, well, that's what did it. So now I'm wondering, I just said that my doctor said that a vaccine did this to me, that Shingrix commercials on it say Guillain-Barre disorder can happen as a result of this, so they admit to that. Their doctors admit that I had, that it's causality, that Shingrix did this to me. So, YouTube, watch this video. I hope a real person watches this video, just not your bot. And I hope you don't ban this one again because I said this again. But this is all the proof you need to know, and I'd be happy to send you the medical records to demonstrate it as well. But Shingrix paralyzed me. They admit it. A vaccine did this to me. And as I've said on many of my videos before, I am not anti-vax, but people need to know possible effects that happen when you have any kind of medicine at all. Pay attention when you see commercials for any medicine, where they're always saying, "Oh, we feel so good," and they show people running through, happy and everything like that. And then at the end of it, they show the possible adverse effects. Those adverse effects can happen. So they put that on there not as a favor to you and me, but they do it to avoid liability. They don't want to have to pay for what happened. GSK, we've been chasing them. My attorney's been chasing them for years. And while they admit everything, they don't want to pay anything, because, it's way more important that they pay $22 million to their CEO, than it is to take care of the people that they damage and that they hurt irreparably. For me, it's been 5 years now, and it's going to happen. It's going to keep going on. So anyway, yeah, I'm pissed. So thank you for listening to my diatribe. If you listened this far, sorry I mispronounced some of their medical and legal terminologies at the beginning of this. I'm a writer, not a reader or anything like that. So speaking of which, if you want to read any of my books are all humor. It's not like this angry YouTube video. But my books are almost all humor, other than the most recent one, which is a kidnapping book. But if you want to read about that, www.normcowie.com. That's COWIE. Thank you for listening. And YouTube, I hope you paid attention to this. And please don't ban my videos anymore, because I am not spreading medical misinformation about anything. This happened to me, and it's properly stated the way I've been stating it. So please keep that in mind. Stop banning my videos. Thank you. Bye-bye all.